So let's continue on. Solve each quadratic equation by completing the square. Write your answer in simplest radical form. So this one's already nice. They've already moved my C value over to the right. But remember, my coefficient in front of my square term needs to be 1. So I'm going to divide everything by 4. So I have a squared minus 2a equals 6. So now I'm going to add b over 2 squared to both sides. So that's a squared minus 2a plus 1 equals 6 plus 1. So a squared minus 2a plus 1 is a minus 1 squared equals 7. So to isolate the square, to cancel the square, I square root both sides. A minus 1 equals plus or minus square root 7. I cannot simplify square root of 7. So to isolate a, I add 1. A equals 1 plus or minus square root 7. And that's as simplified as it goes. So now in this next example, I'm going to start by moving my C term over. 2n squared plus 2n equals 5. Now remember, my n squared term needs to be 1, so I'm going to divide everything by 2. So now I have n squared plus n equals 5 over 2. Now I'm going to add b over 2 squared. Now it's 1. 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. If I square that, that's 1/4. So I'm adding 1/4 to both sides. So now if I factor this, this becomes n plus 1/2 squared. Notice this is always b over 2. This is always b over 2. And if I use common denominators, times 2 times 2, that equals 11 over 4. So now, in order to cancel that square, I'm going to square root both sides. So now I have n plus 1/2 equals plus or minus square root of 11 over 2. So now to isolate that n, I'll subtract 1/2. N equals negative 1/2 plus or minus square root of 11 over 2. And that is in simplest radical form.